Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning.
A podcast where we share with you great insights about everything family from over 30 years of parenting 7 kids and over a decade of equipping parents through our Crazy Cool Family ministry.
So let us inspire and equip you to build your best family.
Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast. We are right in the beginning of March, right before the inevitable spring break.
Oh, I love spring break. I mean, I love the cold, don't get me wrong, but spring break is the best. Do you remember all of the spring breaks? We've done everything from nothing at all to mission trips to the other side of the world. I mean, we've done it all over spring break.
This is our 33rd spring break. Spring, I should say. I don't know about break because when we had little kids, maybe we didn't break as much, but because then we're at last one. This will be our last spring break with a child at home. So we were reminiscing about spring breaks and wanted to give you some counsel maybe because we've done ski trips, we've done local trips, we've stayed at home, we've done it all. Sometimes
depending on our finances, our energy, if we had a newborn, Yeah. And I'm sure your lives are the same way. Spring break is you've either had it planned for months and months and months, or it's about to sneak up on you and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have the kids home all week long. What am I going to do?
We were just talking about it. I think it was spring break when I went on the ski trip with the 5 kids. So I took 5 kids on a spring break ski trip. Well, you had 2 little babies here at home.
Yeah, well, McCade was not even a month old because he was born February. Well, he maybe was a month old. He was born February 8th, and I was like, I cannot take that newborn. And a 2-year-old, Maddox was 2.
It was the most exhausting spring break I've ever had.
Wasn't there a hot air mattress that didn't inflate?
Well, we had 6 of us, and it's all we could afford. We had 6 of us in one hotel room, and at a kind of a cheap hotel and right by a ski resort. And had to get, I think probably, our oldest was at that time maybe 16, 17, all the way down to 5. That was Michael, and our oldest boy now, who was, you had 2 boys at home, and I had to get the boots on, had to get the skis toted. Nobody could carry their stuff. We had to drive up to the mountain every day and load it all up, unload.
Don loves to snow ski. That's why he did that. I was like, are you sure you want to take all of them? Are you sure?
And it was so fun, but I think I got sick for 4 days.
You were sick, and they all came home sick. Yeah.
But what it was so about spring break? So
So hopefully, maybe you've got a spring break like that too. Maybe you have a story, and I don't know, maybe it's going to be your spring break this year. Maybe that's going to be your story. But we just want to encourage you that spring break is a great time to make memories and to have fun with your kids. And the main thing we want to say is to have a crazy cool connection. And that's just what we're going to talk about. What does it look like to have a crazy cool connection with your kids, in your family, with your spouse even, over the week of spring break?
Yeah, and it may be, we don't know where your spring break is. You may be a single parent, you may be a husband or a wife that has to work during spring break. Maybe you can't get off on vacation. It may be that the finances are tough. We've been through all those, and it's still possible. For example, let's say you do have to work and you can't go anywhere, and everybody else is going somewhere, it seems like, and your family has to stay at home. Why do we have to stay at home? Mm-hmm, everybody's going,
or maybe it's just finances. On top of that, maybe you can't even afford to go because groceries are so expensive right now.
And always like us, we had a bunch of kids, and so vacationing got expensive. But, even then, it's like, what are you going to do? Your kids are off. There is something different. And so with something different comes opportunity.
Yeah, good.
And you can either look at it as opportunity, or you can look at it as it's too much. You can look at it as it's hard. You can look at it as all the things. But you're like, wow, we have opportunities to make memories, because so often when kids think back, what do they remember? They remember when they're out of school. They remember summers. They remember spring break. They remember Christmas breaks. And they remember the things. And so what are you going to do about that? Are you going to make it something special? Or are you going to make it something maybe not so special?
Yeah, and so I want to go back to, I think you touched on something really good. You said, my kids are hard. And so I just want to press in a little bit and think about those false mindsets that we have that the enemy tries to use for disunity. And he tries to still kill and destroy us at the time that sets before us. And so maybe you're thinking, like Don said, my kids are hard, or I need a break from them, or my spouse doesn't know how to connect with them, so all this memory making's up to me, or I have no idea how to connect with them, or my kids don't even want to hang out with me. I mean, we don't know what the negative process or thoughts are that are maybe in your head that you are feeling as you come up upon this break. But we just want to encourage you to clear them out, to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking about the break. I'm thinking these negative things. And let me just stop for a second and affirm you. It is hard. And you do need a break from them. And your kids, are going to have expectations because the world has expectations when it comes to spring break. And they're going to, yes, and. So all of that is probably going to happen. But we've all learned that our perspective on how we come in it will radically change and affect how the whole time goes.
Well, let's think about this. What if you're going into spring break and maybe it's the Thursday or Friday before, and you sit down with your husband or wife, if you're married, and you say, hey, let's ask God about spring break. Let's just say, and I bet that when the Lord, hey, God, finances are tight. We've got some pressures at home. Kids are fighting. What can we do? What does spring break look like this year? And, I bet God would tell you things like, what can you do to make it special for them? That your kids love you and they really do love each other. How can we bring energy? What happened, Lord? How could we have energy and life into spring break this year? I don't think he's probably going to tell you, yeah, this is a bummer. Yeah, this is probably not going to work. I mean, I think God's going to encourage you in a different way if you're willing to just put it before him and ask, well, what should that spring break look like?
Yeah, I love that. And then I love that to get his focus on that because it is a gift of time. We do only have so many spring breaks. So stop right now and ask yourself, how many more spring breaks do I have with this set of kids, the ages that they are right now? And so, all right, God, what can we do to make this one special? What can we do? And so I'm going to give you a hack in there. It has to do with time. I mean, spring break is a gift of time. And so one of the best ways to make it be one of the best crazy cool connected spring breaks is to intentionally do things with your time. Simply play games together, watch movies, have a movie night, go on a family walk. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you do get to go on vacation together, then take the time that you're where you are to have face-to-face time, have conversations, play games. Dads, wrestle with your kids. They absolutely love that.
Eat ice cream for breakfast.
Oh, yeah, or eat ice cream often, or eat ice cream before you eat, lunch or dinner.
Now, what if during spring break and vacations in general, you do things differently? That the rules don't matter. I know you got to have structure we got to be somewhere, we got to do things or whatever. I think that can be overdone as well. But what if during the week it's like, hey, okay, we can watch a little bit more TV, or we can we're going to do things, we're going to play games more, or whatever.
Stay our pajamas all day long, or today we're not wearing shoes, and so just this is another thing. So sometimes us adults, we get caught in our adult world and we just adult all the time and we lose sight of what it means to be a child. So ask your kids, all right, guys, spring break is coming up. What would be just the most over-the-top, amazing, crazy thing that you would want to do? I mean, they might say finger paint, make bubbles. I mean, who knows what your children are going to say? But open the doorway up for them to give you ideas on what they would think is fun.
So often we hear parents say that my kids don't want to be around me. And we're like, I wonder why.
Does anybody want to be around you?
well, and maybe.
Are you boring? Are you mean?
They'll say something like, I'm a fun person. But then
when I'm with my friends.
Yeah, exactly. Then you'll say, okay, let's think about that. Are you fun with your kids?
Oh, listen. That is very convicting. I mean, I remember when we lived in, 20 years ago. And I remember us going out with our friends and having the best time and me coming home and being the biggest grouch. Or I was the biggest grouch all the way until we went out with our friends. And there was like an aha moment that it was like, oh, I am not the same person with my friends that I am with my children. And I bet that if I was like I am with my friends, with my children would like me a lot more.
And you can't.
Because my friends like me.
Well, yes, and we think, no, we can't be friends with our kids, or we can be fun. And especially spring break is a time. I mean, my kids will talk about vacation dad, because at that time, because I'm literally going on vacation tomorrow, and it's like, it really does.
Pre-spring break, by the way.
Yeah, it really is. And because I didn't want to go when everybody was going, but it's like a light switch flips, and it's like, okay, let's go be different.
Tell us a little bit about Vacation Dad. Who is Vacation Dad?
Well, Vacation Dad spends money for one. So
Vacation Dad rarely says no.
Yeah.
Where is it that you rarely say no? At the.
Well, I don't know. I'm not.
Like if it's a road trip, where?
We stop at the convenience store and we get stuff, and we get snacks, and it costs about $50 for all the 7 kids, and everybody's got Sour Patch Kids
and their beverage and their gum and their thing,
and then we have to pull over 30 minutes later because we all have to go to the bathroom again. And so, which is fine, but that's okay, and it's like, and literally, like, we eat ice cream, we eat dessert first, sometimes at meals, not all the time, but I mean, just stuff like that, that's, and
bedtime's different, TV schedule's different.
We're going to adventure on vacation. We're going to go do, and we're going to explore, we're going to have fun. And, not that we can't do that back at home, but what if vacation's just a little bit different?
And so that makes me even think, too, just parents out there, just think for a second, what is fun? Like, get with your spouse and you guys talk about what's fun for you, and what's fun for your kids. I mean, like I said, ask them what's fun for them, but channel that inner fun self. Put the adult aside a little bit and go to your fun self, if you will.
Yeah, which, think about that. For you may have little kids, and that may mean, playing dollhouse, or playing, just
anything with them.
I mean, when our grandkids, all I can relate to now is that we haven't had little kids in a while, but, when our grandkids come over, it's like, we play Little People, or we play, with this baseball game or whatever, and they want to play it for a long time.
A card game, or yeah. And so I love that. And so have fun, be fun, and then play. Because remember, children's play is their work. They don't know, it's not any different to them. And so what would it look like if you put your work aside a little bit and join their work? Let the laundry pile up if it has to, let the dishes pile up if it has to. And then, spouses, if you're having to work, which I'm sorry if you have to work, but the whole world doesn't revolve around spring break. I remember the reality of that when you weren't in school anymore. And it's like, wait a minute, we don't get a random week off in the middle of March.
Yeah, now it's fall too.
We can fall too. And so that doesn't dismiss you from having fun with spring break as well. What would it look like to come home early, and have a special dinner, a picnic dinner, if it's the weather permits, or go in late and have a pancake breakfast, or come home for lunch. Just what would it look like to do something out of the ordinary, because you've been given this gift of time that's been set apart on a random week in the middle of the spring? What would it look like to Crazy Cool Connect?
And it's also okay. We tried to, most of the time, cut our vacations off like on a Friday, so that we had a day or two to get ready for the next week.
Right.
So that's okay too. So you can put things off, and then, hey, okay, guys, we're going to have some fun till Friday, and then Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is, we got to get back, because you do have to start back your week, and it can be, you don't want to lose the next 3 days because you weren't ready to get back. So it's okay to say, but if you trade that, okay, we're going to have so much fun, and we're going to do and be together, then everybody gets a little bit, you feel like you've got the time to get back and get ready for the next week.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to make you think, Don. Okay, so how do you crazy cool parent that, making the most of spring break for little kids?
Yeah, well, we were just talking about the littles. I think it's just being at their level. It's a great time to just sit down with them, and hopefully if you're off as well, if you can be off, and they aren't going to school, or they're not going to their daycare or whatever, then it's a great time to just sit down and just be with them.
Interact with them, yeah. The thing that came to mind for me is parks. They're free. They're outside. It's great to have them outside. They love parks. I remember once I can't remember if it was spring break or the first week of summer. We tried to hit a different park every single day in our area, and so that's a great thing to do with littles. Okay, what about middles?
Middles. Sometimes there's almost. I'm going through puberty, I guess. My voice went up, but
it's middles kind of are.
Yeah, exactly. I went through. Sometimes it's sports because the spring break may or may not stop on your sports. Maybe even baseball. You could be traveling. Or even for a tournament or something like that. And so it really matters. What are they doing, and how can you become a part of that? If it's a vacation, then if you're going on a vacation with middles. That can be so fun because they're old enough. They don't have to. They're potty trained. I mean, they can function on their own, and they're fun. I mean, they really are. They still have that wonder to them, and so we want to. So often we want to structure the vacation. We got to get all this done, and they're just wanting to have fun. They just want to. They're experiencing things. One of the things we talk about, I think it's in the Discipline Drivers, is see things through the eyes of the child, and just think about for your middle to see through their eyes, and then see the wonder in it, and it really does let you say, well, man, what'd you do when you were 7 years old?
Yeah,
and how did you do it, and how what was it? What was fun for you, and then how can you make that fun for them?
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, just to even make it special, like I'm thinking if you're doing all the sports things that you're talking about, then doing a Sonic run, and getting a special beverage or getting the special thing, or maybe if you can pick them up a new something, glove, bat, ball, something to go along with there, just to make it a special instead of, we're having to do baseball again. The thing that I was thinking of for middles, though, is playing games. That's when you can start doing Sorry and Clue and checkers and all that stuff. That's the age that's so much fun. We've got a 6-year-old grandson, and he loves all the games. And so that's a great age to play games. And so what would it look like if you, over spring break, you had a game marathon, and you opened up the game cabinet and you said, okay, let's play all these games. Let's get them all, get a system in place. Or maybe you go to Target or Walmart and you buy a few new games.
Yeah.
And
they hate it when they lose.
And then the bigs, how do you, with the teenagers, bigs.
Teenagers can be a beast on vacation and when they're at home. I mean, just because when they don't have structure, and I mean, we went on a few vacations where the teenagers were difficult, and so I mean it depends on the season of life they're in. Maybe they're missing a boy, or maybe they are going through hormones or whatever it is. And I remember one time we did a camping, we went to the camp, to the church, to the camp in Colorado. And,
the family camp.
Yeah, family camp. And then and it was just man, it was hard, and because sometimes teenagers can be difficult, and if because they, maybe you got younger kids and they don't want to go where the younger kids are going, or they're too big for that, or just whatever, they want to be in their life, and you're making them go in your life or whatever, or the family's life. And so how do you do that? I mean, just really, but again, opportunity. It's an opportunity to connect.
Yeah.
And even if they are being little brats, which, they're just 3-year-olds with freedoms, is what you tell them. And so, they, if you respond well to them, they will remember that. And you will connect with them.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And so I do want to challenge you that if you have teenagers, pursue them. Join them in their world. I mean, ask them about their music, what video games they're playing, what's their favorite app on their phone. Just leave your world and join their world. Movies, watch a movie together, have movie night, and then talk about it, what you agree and what you disagree with on the movie. Maybe you could even host their friends to come over and have a pizza party, because teenagers are all about their friends.
And pizza.
And then pizza too. And so I just want to encourage you that teenagers are amazing and they're incredible. And the world tells us that they're brats and they're hard to get along with and they're difficult. And while there is some truth to that, just remember that you were a teenager too, and there was a lot going on in your brain and a lot going on in your emotions. And so what did you want from the adults in your life? And be that adult to your teenagers and practice it over spring break while you're crazy cool connecting with them.
Yeah, and when they are not being, or when they are being difficult or whatever, just remember you control you, you know, and you have the ability to do what you need to do regardless of them. And maybe it is, you know, you do have some time to say, hey, you know, let's say, for example, some people might go to, you know, around here, people might go to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and, you know, take a week and get in a cabin or whatever, get outdoors. It's okay for that teenager to go and be by themselves for a little while. You know, give them some time, give them some space to be able to.
For sure.
And, you know, it doesn't have to be that we're going this way, we're going vacations. You know, one of the things I had to learn, because I'm an achiever and I really like to make the most of things, vacations don't have to be busy. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be. The spring break does not have to be busy.
That's
you don't
good.
win the award by being the busiest. You
by
win
doing the
award,
most.
You win the award by connecting the best. You know, by being available, being connective, being patient, being open to the things, and just being there for people. That's really the goal of spring break. The goal of vacations in so many ways.
Well, and I mean, you made me think of a thought too, that I know that over a few of the spring breaks, we would do something like redecorate a bedroom, like paint a bedroom, and we'd all work together. And if it was one of the kids' bedrooms, they'd help go pick out the colors. And so it'd be a little bit of it. So we would do a project. And so that might be something that's fun for your family. It doesn't feel like it's a vacation as much as it is work, but that's all relative. It's all perspective. It's anything you do can be fun or it can be work. And the funnest thing in the world can be work depending on your attitude about it.
Man, so often I hear from people and they're like, man, I just spent all that money on vacation. We fought the whole time. It's like, what if that's different for you?
Yeah, don't.
What if that's different for your family and you decide, and you know, again, getting with your spouse, super important, and just saying, hey, that's not going to be us. And we're going to do it differently, and we're going to try to be intentional about it. And then we're also going to try to have some patience and some love with it and see what happens.
Okay, so the last thing I was thinking about as we were talking, what if you did something like a laugh count? You know, and so every time the family had a great time laughing, you put a tally mark. And let's say by the end of the week you get to, I don't know, 20, 10,
500,
50, 500, you know, and say, okay, we're gonna do something if we, you know, just, and so basically what you're doing is you're focusing on the fun part instead of the hard part or the work part or the brat part or the time together and we don't like each other because we can't get along part. But what if you focus more on okay, we're gonna fun and laugh. Those are the two things we're gonna focus on, trying to get, you know, fun time, you know, connecting anyway.
Because really sometimes parents are scared of spring break because they're thinking, okay, we're not getting along when we're not together. Think about if we're together for a long time, what's going to happen? Well, that's possible. It's possible but it's also possible that could be the transformation time. That could be the time that breakthrough happens.
Okay, I had another idea. I keep saying it, but another thing too is that, okay, so parents, while we're saying hang out with your kids and spend time with them and play with them, we're not saying you need to spend every moment with them. Spring break is a beautiful time for your kids to reconnect because they've literally been in classrooms separated from each other. Maybe even they're in two different schools. And I have heard time and time again from parents that by the end of spring break or by the end of summer break, my kids love each other. They are siblings as best friends, but during the year, they're not. And so what would it look like at the beginning of spring break if you go get them a common project, you know, whether that's an art project or a Lego or I don't even know, a model that they build. You know, what if you get something that they could work on together that would get over the hump of them not being in the same world and help them rejoin the same world? And, you know, like we watched a series one time, like a bunch of, I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was Harry Potter. I can't remember. We just watched, it wasn't Harry Potter, but we watched a whole bunch of movies every single single day for a day just to kind of build that camaraderie. And so anyway, parents.
Maybe Star Wars.
Maybe it was. I think it was Star Wars. Yes, thank you. That was going to drive me crazy. It was. It was Star Wars.
And, you can also, maybe they have an incentive, hey, if you guys get this model done together and you work hard, I don't see you fight, I'm going to give each of you $10 or something, just whatever it is. And it probably has to go up as the age goes up. But
incentive is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so many ideas. We just hope you have the best spring break ever. That Spring Break 2025 is the best one because you've decided to crazy cool connect.
Yeah, and make it, pray about it. And spring break can be unique to your family. You can make traditions. You can make all kinds of things happen with all vacations. But hopefully your spring break is going to be amazing. And if you have a quick story you want to share with us, just send it. info@crazycoolfamily.com. We would love to hear your great spring break story.
Yeah, and if you want to hear anything more about building culture in your family on trips, we actually did a podcast, episode 201, Family Culture Made Simple, Building Culture on Family Trips, if you need a little bit more inspiration.
In the meantime, have a great spring break and go be crazy, parents. crazycoolfamily.com. Thanks for listening to the Crazy Cool Family podcast. We hope this episode inspired and challenged you to invest in your family. We want every family in the world to know about God's vision for their family. To help get the word out, consider taking a minute and giving our podcast a 5-star review and share why you love listening. Or share our podcast on social media with your friends and family. We believe that family is God's idea, so help us spread His vision for family by telling others about our podcast today.